The guardian pattern. So, before we talk about how to specifically manage them, let's have a look at their highest drivers and their needs. Because when we understand someone's needs, we can really use that to work out how do we manage them. So, for a guardian pattern, their highest drive will be their formality. They love to make sure things are done to a really high standard, where they can be meticulous, where they can share their knowledge and be a subject matter expert. They will also like to have consistency and stability because of that higher patience drive. So they do like to know what's happening. They like to plan and they like the familiar. So they'll want to create that in their own environment. Now, they have a lower extroversion drive. So we'll see them being a little bit more reserved, a little bit more reflective. And that lower dominance drive means they're naturally quite collaborative. They like to work in a team, work with other people. Now, the little nuance for a guardian pattern is that they're slightly more social than they are dominant. And when we see that, we say they're a little bit more people orientated. So we know with guardians, often they come across as quite friendly, quite approachable. They're not the massive extrovert. However, they will be quite comfortably able to have those conversations and have more of a people orientation at work. So that's just a tiny little nuance in that guardian pattern. Now, when we think about guardians, they are naturally really unselfish. They're there to support others, and they love working in a team. So, if we were going to motivate and recognize them, we would probably want to do that privately because they are a little bit more reserved, and we would want to do it for their contribution to the team or the customer. Avoid big displays of recognition up on stage. They're going to feel a little bit more awkward by that. Help motivate them by leaning on their sense of duty and service. They absolutely want to do the right thing, and they're naturally very loyal and they want to be protectors of their pack. So make sure that you can provide them with reassurance of security and stability. Those things will also be really important for them, is that their job is safe, their role is safe. Those things, again, those basics are actually very important to a guardian. Now, when you're providing direction and feedback, remind them how much their work is valued by their peers and colleagues and how others really value their knowledge and expertise. They will be a little bit sensitive around criticism because of their high formality drive. So just tread carefully if you're giving them feedback around the quality of their work. Take time to provide clear details and structured around what's expected and when. They definitely will be asking a lot of questions. So make sure they've got time to talk through those questions. Again, because they're a bit more reserved, they may not ask those questions in a meeting, but we need to provide opportunity for them to loop back afterwards to say, hey, send me through your questions and let's go through them separately. Um, have them repeat back what those expectations were so you really understand, or that you can understand what they've comprehended from that conversation. Making sure you're both on the same page is going to be really important. Don't delegate work that's really ambiguous, right? And it's really intangible. This is not going to be helpful for them. They want to know what's expected and they like working with more tangible things. You don't want to put them in a role that requires them to be too independent in their decision making. They will want help from you as a manager to mitigate some of that risk for them. But do delegate work that's really well defined, it's really clear, it's really structured, and it's clear on those outcomes. I would say when coaching them, encourage them to be a little bit more creative with their ways of thinking. Now, they'll be more creative when they feel like there isn't too much risk. So typically for a guardian pattern, I want to protect them from that risk and say, hey, come up with any idea possible, but I will protect you from that risk. They certainly need that from a manager. And again, we often brainstorm what's another way of doing something. So getting them to look at alternatives. Help them prioritize their projects. They typically like to make sure things are completed. So they really do, chopping and changing projects isn't going to motivate them. They want to see things through and then move on to the next task. Give them permission to make decisions in their area of expertise. Delegate some authority to them if you feel and they feel that they're confident enough in that area. So hopefully this has been really helpful in how to best manage a guardian pattern.